Entire Tossedal, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with aTnSocke and Delphi for round 2 of their best of 3 match, which was played on something that I can't remember the name of, probably BattleNet, and it's going to be on Metalopolis. Delphi spawning in the 6 o'clock position, while aTnSocke is spawning in the 12 o'clock position. Very similar spawning points to what we saw in the last match, and I won't tell you the results of the last match if you didn't see it, but let's see if aTnSocke or Delphi can be triumphant in this second match in this best of 3. So, as we can see, not much going on right now, nobody going for any kind of cheesy play right now, which is very nice to see, as I really don't enjoy watching or casting cheese that much. It's a bit boring, but I would rather be casting the macro games. Socke going to be sending out his probe to this position initially, and then going to be sending it down here, scouting Delphi in his second position, so not too bad there, because if it was spawning here he could quite easily just send out a probe like he is doing now and see what's going on, which is not to be the case. So I'm pretty sure he's going to know that he is spawning in this position, Delphi, without even being there just yet. And aTnSocke now going to be throwing down that gateway on 13, quite happy to do that. I like to get my gateway personally on 12, but you know, it doesn't really matter that much as it's all good. Spawning pool now going down for Delphi. I wouldn't have been surprised if we'd have seen an early expansion go down before these two, but nowadays more people are getting very kind of suspicious as to throwing down that early expansion. And whilst it can be a great economic lead for a Zergy player, a lot of them do not like doing it due to the fact that it can be abused so much by those cannons. So now the spawning pool for Delphi is half done, and that extractor is done as well. Going to be throwing 3 straight into there in order to grab himself enough gas, and that's a little bit skew-if actually. It's not exactly right now that I look at that. He would have been better doing that one, but actually that's like totally pointless in analysing because it doesn't really make that much of a difference at all. So that's Cybernetic's code going down for Socke, going to be making a nice little choke there, as is normal with PvZ, and just trying to block off any expansion that does happen, and Socke getting a little bit curious at this point as to why an expansion hasn't started, so going to be running in here having a look around, but these Zerglings are going to be coming down here, no doubt designed to go down here in order to be able to fend off this probe, but this probe is already fleeing, so he's going to be able to get away, hopefully no problem, but everything in Socke's base has been scouted by that drone. A double gas currently for Socke, whilst only the single gas for the very usual play of a Zerg. So, just running away with this probe right now. Zergling speed is on the way, as well as warp gates, and sentry is now coming out for Socke, and that zealot is already on his hold position. This probe will indeed get away. He's just a little bit slower from the Zerglings, but not that much, and indeed he does get away. So, Socke going to be in an alright position right now, but he doesn't know that this expansion has gone down just yet, but I imagine he's preempting that, since that's what every Zerg does in the entire world. Apart from those ones that go for the 3 Roach Ling build. And a few more sentries now coming out for Socke, so he's quite content to just stick with 3 gates into expansion with a very heavy sentry mix in this play. Speed almost finished now for Delphi, and he's maintaining this map control currently with these Zerglings at each watchtower, one at the front just to spot anything that does come out, and the timing of this expansion, going to be doing a very good job of that, chrono boosting that research in order to get that out as quickly as possible. A nice pylon coverage here from Socke, just making sure that nothing tricky is going on in his base. As you can see, Warp Gates has finished, and now we're just going to be getting as many units as possible in order to fend this off. Zergling trying to run in there, and Hallucination on the way. Socke, you sly devil, you charismatic and beautiful man of Protoss world. Yeah, enough of the analogies. Hallucination's on the way, if you didn't notice, and he could have expanded actually, but he doesn't. He could have expanded with the money that he's using for Hallucination, but he's deciding to just kind of expand after. This Zergling trying to pick off this probe, but he does have speed, so he is going to be able to get away quite easily. I would have probably liked to have seen that Nexus go down before the Hallucination research, but regardless, it doesn't really matter that much. Leia now being morphed in for Delphi, and a nice few queens here, going to be able to fend off any kind of early aggression that does come out from Socke, but at this point, this ball of units isn't going to be able to do much in the base of the Zerg, especially with being able to be spotted by these Zerglings at the watchtowers, so he wouldn't be able to do pretty much anything at all. Phoenix coming out now, being hallucinated, which is actually, now that I think about it, a really nice play if he doesn't let it get killed, because in the previous game, a bit of a spoiler, Socke did go for the early Phoenix and used that for scouting purposes. Oh, and it is actually going to die, so he is going to know that it is a hallucination, so he wouldn't be fooled by it too much. But what I was going to get at was if he'd have hallucinated it and not let it die, he may have tricked Delphi into thinking that there was actually a Stargate down. But no such luck, as he probably did realise that it was indeed a hallucination. Regardless, we do have a forge as well as a robo facility going down now for aTnSocke, and a roach warren also going up for Delphi, and that just finished just then. A few spore crawlers going down as well, so actually he's made him spend a little bit of money. I'm assuming that he didn't realise that it was a hallucination, and the second one now coming in. But again, he could quite easily not use any air units at this point, and be mindful of knowing that he has made the Zerg waste, in inverted commas, a little bit of early money due to the fact that those spore crawlers have gone down. Another couple of Phoenix coming out here, going to be doing a lot of scouting, and we do have a Hydralisk den going down. So again, I'm really not quite sure what is going on in Delphi's mind here. We do have an Evo chamber as well coming down, and these two Phoenix scouting have been split up. We do have a third now going down for Delphi, so he's going to be in a good position if he allows it to go on. But again, beautiful, absolutely beautiful scouting by Socke. Going to know exactly what is going on throughout this entire time, and he does now even know that there's a Hydralisk den and an Evo chamber on the way, so he knows that all he needs to do right now is get that robotics bay, which he is doing, and then grind out some Colossi, and he will be in a really good position when it comes to this. And it looks like Delphi is running the exact same build that he ran before. As you can see, the same upgrades coming out at exactly the same time. Glial reconstitution for Numi's Carapace and missile weapons level 1. And now the grooved spines coming out for these Hydras as well. So Delphi really sticking to what he did in game 1, and going to be going with exactly the same strategy. An observer now coming out for Socke, as well as this robo bay is almost completed. Another robotics facility going down, so he's going to be again Socke sticking to the exact same build, apart from the Stargate difference that he stuck to in game 1, but which it's going to really work to his advantage is the fact that he's made the Zerg think that he may have had a Stargate, but actually doesn't. So he's already spent quite a lot on air defense, including these Hydralisks. But that being said, the Hydralisks are extremely good against these gateway units, so he's going to be in a pretty good position regardless, as long as he doesn't get absolutely bogged down in utter Colossi devastation. +1 weapons is almost done for the Zergi, and a sacrificed Overlord does see all this going on, so he's really going to need to throw that Spire up sometime soon in order to be able to get those Corruptors out and deal with the Colossi in as quick fashion as he possibly can do. Few Overlords here for spotting as well. Good placement on these Overlords, but Socke is going to be taking his second expansion, so he doesn't notice that yet. But again, really good scouting by both these players. Both players noticing second expansions going down as soon as they go up, and really nice creep spread here from Delphi as well. He's really good at this creep spread, and we do have that Spire going down as well for Delphi. So he's going to be in a good position at this point, although thermal lances have almost completed for these Colossi, so once he has enough Colossi, he's going to be in a really good position to actually do massive, massive damage to the Zergi player. Infestation pit now going down, so Delphi is looking to tech 2 Hive, and there's going to be a bit of an engagement here. There's a lot of units getting out of position, and on this creep the roaches can catch up really nicely. Nice force fields there, catching off a lot of those roaches, and really nice blocking that off. He could really take out a lot of those if he wanted to, but Socke decides to flee back and not take out the rest of those units. But nice use of those force fields, really restricting the movement of the Zergi player, especially on his own creep, which is absolutely vital. He needs to start killing more of this creep, which he was doing previously, but he needs to kill even more. And now Delphi going for the gold as well. He absolutely loves his expansions, and that's exactly what you need to do, I suppose, as Zerg. So he's in a really nice position right now. But Delphi, Socke even, is keeping up. Nice use of positioning these buildings here to stop massive Zerg run-ins and delay any kind of Roach Hydra push that would come in from this direction. And so really nice placement here from these buildings. You really need to take note of this. I'm going to be throwing a pylon up here, but I imagine some Zerglings are going to come along eventually and kill that pretty quickly. At the same time though, we do have a bit of an engagement up here. Some Roaches running in on massive speed on this creep, and I'm surprised he didn't throw down any force fields there, but at the same time he's in a pretty good position to just fend that off with the amount of units that he does have. 3 Colossi, 4 Colossi in fact out now, and more Colossi on the way. Warping in a few more Stalkers, and I would really like to see Blink come out from Socke, because that's what he really needed in the early stages of Game 1, but he didn't have to begin with. So we have a lot of Corruptors now coming out for Delphi in order to combat a lot of these Stalkers, and in fact he's going to be placing Spine Crawlers here down the avenue of attack that Socke is trying to target down, and he really needs to protect this gold, because that is the only thing standing between him and Socke's economy as well. So now throwing down a few force fields, strange choice there, but trying to get a few pot shots off on those Corruptors, whilst the Corruptors did want to get some shots off on these Colossi as well. And now these Colossi and ground force is going to be ripping apart this expansion. But at the same time, Delphi is expanding to this blue and mineral patches as well, so he's going to be in a good position, but Socke's force is becoming rather menacing, especially since he does have more Colossi back at home in order to be able to attack this. Nice flank in from the Corruptors there. He's going to be able to maybe get a Colossi kill. No, he doesn't. A nice move in with this ground force as well. Good use of force fields, but these Corruptors are doing a lot of damage to these Colossi. He really needs to keep these Colossi alive as long as possible in order to do damage to the ground force, but the ground force does move back, and now all the Corruptors are dead, but only one Colossi remaining. But even more Colossi reinforcing. So really good production here from aTnSocke at this point. I wouldn't mind seeing Socke try to secure a fourth, but at the same time, if he were to, it would be slightly undefended due to the fact that this will be a massive avenue of attack whilst his entire army is down here. So engaging again and going to be killing quite a few of those units. Massive lasers going down from those Colossi. And at this point, there's not much upgrading going down from the Protoss player, getting Blink like was suggested before, but 2-2 now on these ground units for Delphi, so he really has this build nailed. It's a really strong build, but it's really going to be pressured if he can't kill the Colossi. And nice force fields maybe, but not catching as many units as he would have liked to. Going to be trying to chase as many of these units as he can with these Colossi, but getting out of position with these Colossi, and these Stalkers really need to Blink up there in order to be able to take them out. Blink is not finished at all, so a lot of those Colossi did go down from those Corruptors, and I've been talking for about a million hours, and oh my god, I'm out of breath. Oh, stop me. Colossi, what am I on about? Stalker's killing a few of those Corruptors, and Delphi is now trying to set up that gold once again, but it's just going to be taken down once again by the superior force of aTnSocke right now. Just pressuring with more Colossi coming on the way, and a few broodlings there being picked off by this bit of a menacing ball. I would like to see maybe a hallucinated Phoenix come over and scout exactly what Delphi has right now. That would be a pretty nice move. And he is trying to expand this gold again, but it's pretty pointless considering the fact that it's just dead. And he's going to be pressed into a really hard spot now, considering, oh my god, he's actually trying to expand here, and aTnSocke now trying to set up for this expansion, but Delphi has already stolen that expansion. He needs to bring some units back there to actually try and take that out, but at the same time, these Corruptors trying to get in on the action. Nice use of Blink there, killing off at least one Corruptor and weakening a few more, and these Colossi need to be protected in order to be able to finish off this relatively small ball of Zerg units. A lot of this food is really tied up in drones, actually, now that I look at it, and building a few in-base hatcheries because he's getting quite high on minerals, and at this point, a few cannons warping in here to take out this expansion. Interesting play there, but killing off a few overlords. Nice use of Blink there. Going to be killing... Oh, he just killed off one Corruptor and almost killed off two more, but the ground army now coming up here. Nice use of those force fields, warding away this big ball of ground units, and he's going to be trying to come in here, killing off the bots, killing off a reinforcing Colossi, and now a lot of damage being done to the Zergy player as these Corruptors are having free reign over it. The Colossi, whilst the Colossi do a lot of damage to this ground-based unit ball. So now all the Colossi being taken down, and I'm not so sure there's going to be enough ground force here to kill off these Stalkers, but the Stalkers do indeed blink back, and he's going to be forced to retreat since there are 15 roaches now coming out, and these 2 photon cannons pounding away at these units. These Stalkers are going to need to run back as quickly as they can. They could get a few pot shots off here, and indeed they are trying to get a few pot shots off. Blinking back to kill a few of those roaches. Nice use of blink by Socke there. We do have armor level 1 coming up for the Protoss now, as well as just constantly producing more Colossi in order to be able to deal with this. So Zealot Charge has already been researched, as I have yet to have noticed, and weapons level 2 is now on the way for Socke. We do have 3 Void Rays on the way, and Void Rays are a very, very strong counter to Corruptors. So this is going to be turning into the imbalanced show, going to be showing Colossi and Void Rays and Gateway units against the Zergy Ball. But oh my god, Broodlords have been morphed. I keep missing this Greater Spire coming up, but it really seems as if I've missed a drop. I've missed a drop. I'm sorry, I missed a drop. I'm sorry. Socke is expanding to this location now, and it's going to be put him in good stead, especially since this expansion did go down once again for Delphi, and he's trying to set up his gold once again since he is running out of minerals at both of these expansions, and this is massively, massively oversaturated right here. Could transfer a few of those to perhaps here, as this is undersaturated. And this observer is going to be able to see everything that's going on now. And hopefully he will scout these Broodlords. I think indeed that he has scouted those Broodlords, so he's going to know exactly what he needs to do. Those Void Rays are going to be able to pose a massive, massive threat to those Broodlords. And Socke now expanding to this base again, and reinforcing it with some photon cannons, but at the same time the Broodlords are coming over to do a lot of damage. But this is a very, very scary ball. All I would like to see in here is a few sentries to give him a Guardian Shield, but more Void Rays on the way now, and going to be moving down this same avenue of attack that he's been using all game long, but going to have to come back in order to ward away these Broodlords, and he is indeed moving with them. In fact, no, he's not. He's a bit indecisive. He's taking some Zealots down there to maybe do some damage to the gold, whilst actually attacking with this mass amount of units. Broodlords throwing down Broodlings onto this force and picking off a Broodlord. That was a nice pick off there, but all these Corruptors are doing a lot of damage to these Colossi, and the Colossi are getting very, very confused, shooting away at the Broodlings when they should be shooting away at this ground force that ran into a wall of gateways down there. But at the same time, this ball is so powerful. The Void Ray is doing tons and tons of damage, whilst the Colossi, in essence, were soaking up a lot of the Corruptor damage. So a big, big victory there for Socke, going to be put him in good stead when going into the late stages of this game. And it doesn't look like it's over yet, folks, as Delphi is reamassing a big, big roach ball, but he really needs to get this Broodlord in play. And it seems like those Zealots there were thwarted by whatever it was there, probably a Broodlord, and this Broodlord does have 2 kills, so it was probably him, the dastardly Broodlord that he is, and just going to be moving up to the gold here to reinforce whatever does happen. But at the same time, this is an impenetrable army by the looks of things, and going to do serious amounts of damage to this ground force, and these Broodlords are trying to get in on the action. We do have +2 armor on the way for the ground forces of Socke, but these Void Rays are going to do huge amounts of damage. There are too many Void Rays here to be able to be countered. He really needs a lot of Corruptors to deal with this, especially since they're not really that good at counter to this ball in general. But we shall have to see what happens from here. Air weapons level 1 on the way for Socke, and I'm being tongue twisted all the time. 3 more Void Rays here idle, so he could do even more devastating damage to the Zerg if he so wishes, and more Colossi on the way as well. At this point, aTnSocke is looking in a very, very commanding position. All these overlords having a party over here, and going to be moving up with the remaining forces that he has in order to try and fend this off. But Socke is 50 food ahead in this army count, and getting armor level 3 for his ground units as well, so really great upgrades. But at the same time, these air units are going to prove invaluable when it comes to the final battle, and these Broodlords are just being completely smashed to bits by these Void Rays. There isn't much that Delphi can do right now. This ball of units is just way too strong. So it looks like Socke is going to be taking this game, ladies and gents. Is just waiting for the GG, in my opinion, and it's probably going to come quite soon. And Delphi does GG without that final battle, so that was quite annoying. I wanted to see some slaughter from Void Rays, but apparently it was not going to happen. So thank you very much for watching this, guys, and I will see you guys for round 3.